Well, we've only got 2 episodes left of teen stuff.
Yeah.
Got Escapade and Soiree. And then to end the summer, and now that I understand that it's gonna do kind of a separate little closing,
Mm-hmm.
I guess it depends on how long these episodes are, but if they're really long and we get past an hour, I think we'll do the ending to summer in a separate episode. But if it's under an hour, maybe we'll do it. Because I don't think it's that long to end the summer, but depends on how long these are.
Yeah.
We'll start with Escapade.
The evening breeze tickled your nose as you sat on your front porch, munching on fresh watermelon slices.
The snack made you happy, thought watermelon was just okay. You were eating it because watermelon was a summer tradition, or you weren't even sure why am I eating this watermelon?
Yeah. Where am I? Why am I eating watermelon?
Well, I personally, I don't dislike watermelon, but I would never go out of my way to eat watermelon.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really like it, but maybe they do, so maybe it's just a summer tradition that like watermelon and summer just go together.
They kind of do, yeah. It was always the go-to after-dinner snack at your household during the summer months. It was a special something that didn't really happen during the rest of the year. You turned to look at Cove. You both had been sitting in comfortable silence for a while now. He sat next to you, close enough for your shoulders to touch. He was happily absorbed in his thoughts and his own slice of watermelon. Chuckling, you watched as his face twisted in discomfort. He had to stop chewing to spit a seed into the bush.
You shook your head in disapproval. Ew! You did the same and spat a seed into the bushes, or I bet I can spit a seed farther than you.
Ooh, seed spitting contest?
Competition?
I don't know. Immediately, you shoved the majority of what was left of your watermelon slice into your mouth, just to get a seed to prove your point. As soon as you could, you sent the seed sailing into the middle of the street.
Did you see that, Cove?
Cove burst into laughter that slowed into a wide grin. You could tell he was equal parts surprised and impressed. Can you do that again? I didn't see where it landed.
Of course I can.
You popped another seed into your mouth and focused on where the last one landed. Setting the seed free, you got it to go even further this time. Not bad.
Not bad.
You had Cove chuckling again. It was taking a lot of focus to stay looking serious and not break into laughter yourself.
I'd like to see you try.
I will. Cove took in a mouthful of watermelon, face grimacing when he had the seed. Then his expression morphed into a focused look, and he sent the seed flying, landed in a similar spot to yours. Wait, you got to do 2. I need another try. He spoke before you could even comment on his non-victory. His determination got you laughing. He quickly sent another close to where your second one landed.
Seems we're evenly matched for now.
Yeah, for now. For the next several minutes, you both kept carving seeds from your slices and giggling at the ridiculousness of the competition. Eventually, a truce was called, and you both went back to eating the neglected watermelon flesh.
I don't like the term watermelon flesh.
Yeah. I wonder if I'll have another slice after this one.
That one's your third already.
Is that bad? It tastes really good.
And no, it's alright. Definitely bad. Sighed, affectionately smiled, unable to resist. You knocked the mostly finished slice out of a table. What?
Oh, that's not very nice.
I would just say it's fine.
Yeah.
It isn't super filling, and there's still a lot left. Why not?
Alright, that's all I needed. He picked up a 4th slice with confidence and looked at you, his smile stretched ear to ear. A little while later, Cove flinched, making a confused sound. He slowly put his current slice down on the plate next to him.
Are you okay?
Yeah. He stood up, head tilted back to look at the sky. His feet took him to the middle of the street. Did you notice anything?
What do you mean?
I thought I felt a raindrop.
The sun's still out.
You put down your watermelon slice and hopped off your front step. Immediately, you felt a tap of water in the crown of your head, making you yelp.
You're right.
Cove was still staring up at the sky, and you watched as he began blinking more rapidly. When he finally turned in your direction, his face was bemused. It's a sun shower.
I like sunshine.
It seemed crazy. Me too. but soon you couldn't avoid the drops that began increasing into a light shower. Booming with laughter, Cove kicked off his shoes toward the front door and reveled in the moment.
You were excited, hid from the rain, or annoyed with the sudden sprinkling. I think it's fun.
Yeah. You closed your eyes and threw your head back, letting the rain shower over you. The cool drops felt so right after the warmth of the day. Feeling energized, you ran over to Cove and laughed at how soaked you already was. Not that he cared because he was busy spinning in the middle of the street. Following his lead, you spun yourself until you were dizzy. Just as suddenly as the sprinkling started, it stopped, and it left you dripping with the smell of wet asphalt and soil tickling your nose. Cove caught your eyes, running a hand through his wet hair, combing it back. He frowned. It's over. The drops of rain clinging to his face almost could have been mistaken for tears as he sounded that disappointment.
It was fun. I wish it lasted longer. Had enough of rain for one summer day. You didn't have to say anything.
I like the first one.
Yeah, first one or two.
Yeah, it's so cool that it happened. You then looked over at your door inside. You knew Ma wasn't going to be happy to see you trailing water into the house. Cove rubbed his arm awkwardly. He must have been thinking the same thing because he watched you sympathetically.
It's okay.
You can dry off at my house if you want. My parents won't mind.
Thanks, let's do that. You're the sweetest guy I know. I don't want to cause trouble or I'm fine. Probably just go with the first one. Let's do that.
Yeah? Okay. His whole demeanor brightened. You figured he must have felt relieved to help you avoid getting in any trouble. Cove led you inside and you stayed close to him. We have a ton of spare towels. I've just got to dig them out of the hall closet.
Thanks for doing this. What should I do? I think I'm gonna need to borrow some clothes from you too.
I don't know if that would work since Cove is a lot taller.
I mean, it'd be better than him being smaller.
I guess.
Because I either want to do the top or the bottom choice.
Okay. I think either of them would be pretty good, and we can maybe see where the bottom one leads. Cove didn't have any of the towels yet, but he came back into eye shot so you could see him stare at you flatly and roll his eyes. Haha, we're not exactly the same size. You'd be swimming in my clothes.
Laughed and let him go. I'm not joking, it'd be nice to borrow a shirt. I feel like the bottom one's like pushing it.
Yeah, maybe.
But like, I don't know where it would go, but it feels weird.
With that, Cove disappeared and returned in no time, towels in hand. Here.
Thanks.
You accepted one and began to pat yourself down. A sudden call caught both of your attentions.
I thought I heard voices.
Cove's mom strolled into the living room with a curious grin.
What happened here? You're both wet.
There was a sun shower.
Badass.
Cove smiled back at his parent. We came inside to dry off.
My moms don't want me going into my house when I'm wet.
Right.
So I told Ollie to come back here.
It was very sweet of you, baby.
She ruffled Cove's wet hair and laughed at the drops of water that shook off. Then a light came to Kyra's
What do you
eyes.
think?
I have an idea. Why don't we go for a drive? It has to beat standing around the house, and you'll air dry in no time.
Cove only offered a shrug and a bent smile to his mom. He looked at you for a real answer.
I guess we could.
Yeah, why not?
Fun. This'll be good.
Kyra pulled out her cell phone from her pocket to call your moms. They had swapped numbers early in the
See you
summer.
soon.
Head on out to the garage. I'll meet you there in just a minute.
Sorry.
Sorry, my mom can be so pushy. She gets some idea in her head and that's what she does.
That's okay. Thanks for letting me come.
I didn't do anything. That wasn't true at all, but you let him get away with that. Come on. Cove led you to the car and Kyra wasn't too far behind.
Okay.
Okay, into the back, you two.
Once the three of you were situated inside, Kyra started it and drove out of the residential area. When she hit a main road, the car sped up and she rolled back the windows all the way down.
Hey.
Hey! Cove started laughing as he kept trying in vain to keep his hair from flying into his eyes too much. Meanwhile, you closed your eyes as the wind whipped against your wet clothes.
I said this drive was going to be good for getting air dried.
Yeah, but I didn't agree to this much air. Cove tried pressing the window button, but nothing happened. His eyebrows furrowed in frustration. You disabled the back?
Sorry, can't hear you.
Smiling deviously, Kyra turned on the radio and turned it up to be heard over the wind.
You laughed and enjoyed the event. You jokingly complained about the situation. You were not a fan of the stunt, or you danced in your seat to the music. Like, I feel like Cove will get over it, so I don't want to, like, be grumpy with him.
Yeah.
I kind of just want to dance.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I like the dancing one.
Dancing.
You recognized the song immediately. Mouthing along to the words and moving about to the beat felt refreshing. Cove shook his head at you until he cracked half a smile. Slowly he relaxed and bopped a little to the beat of the song himself.
Dancing makes it better.
Yes. And then something struck the side of your leg. Several papers were freed from under the car seats and were blown about. They can't go out the windows. Cove began to haphazardly reach around the space to try to get it all back under wraps.
Amused you helped. You helped frantically. You watched him struggle entertained. I think we would probably frantically help.
Yeah, we gotta help. You jumped to his aid immediately, trying to snatch up every single paper crashing around within your reach. As much as you both caught fistfuls, there was no stopping a few that got sucked out the windows. Cove gasped. Mom, close the windows! Kyra offered no response other than a chuckle. She kept driving. The both of you had sour looks at that.
We got most of them.
I know. Thanks. The sun set completely, and at that, Kyra rolled up the windows. Cove let out a big sigh and released the random bits of paper he had in his fists. My mom is crazy. He ran a hand through his windblown hair and laughed with a bit of exasperation.
Didn't know what was happening more. You were fed up or you felt good. I wish I knew what those papers were, like, because I'm gonna feel bad if it's like his summer work.
Yeah, that would not be good.
I kind of am inclined to just go for the middle, like, what's the plan now? I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. After all of that, you wondered what was going to come next, biting your bottom lip. Cove watched you with interest until his focus was taken by a new comment from his mom.
I bet you're not feeling damp anymore.
No, but now I feel tricked. You could tell by his tone that at this point his complaints were more performative than serious. He spotted Kyra looking at you both a moment in the rearview mirror, smiling.
Sided with Cove, sided with Kyra, stayed quiet. What was Kyra's? That she just isn't, that we're not wet anymore?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I guess it's always good to side with Cove, but I don't really know how that helps, but...
Yeah, I'm not sure on this one.
Yeah, you didn't tell us you'd trap us like that. My bad.
Kyra continued driving. The radio volume was adjusted for the closed windows and everyone was sitting more comfortably. Kyra lowered the sound even more after pulling into a red light. She took the chance to turn around. You caught her coy smirk.
Does anyone know what we drove past during the dry cycle?
No.
A movie theater.
Okay, most places have one somewhere.
It isn't that late, you know. We can probably still catch a show.
Really, Mom? We don't even know what to be playing.
That's what makes it fun. Want to see a movie? I'm not sure about that. No way, that's not fun. Heck yeah. Aren't my moms expecting me back soon? Probably not. I mean, as long as, like, we're with an adult, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
Man. I mean, like, okay, so, like, Cove is, like, unsure, but I don't think that means he necessarily doesn't want to go see a movie. I think he's just like, what? This is spontaneous. So, I kind of want to do the heck yeah, and then maybe
like
that'll
that
make him
one.
excited.
Yeah. Both of you? He seemed hesitant. You gave him a smile and Cove eased up a bit.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating impulsive behavior every day, but it's important to seize the moment when you can. We might never have another night like this. And don't worry, Ollie, I said I'd watch over you for the night, not just 10 minutes or so. I'll put your parents in the loop about hitting the movies as soon as we get there.
I didn't bring any shoes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
You should always bring shoes when you're going out. Why are we gonna reprimand
Always remember to wear your shoes.
Not wearing any either. I feel like that's the most, like, good answer, I guess?
Yeah. You lifted your foot up and wiggled your toes so Cove could see.
You like my feet?
How are we gonna go inside barefoot?
I don't know, we can't, or it doesn't matter. I think I would just say I don't know.
Yeah, because there might be a way.
We got, like, diving
alright.
flippers in
It's
the
like
back?
Kyra's gonna have to buy us new shoes.
Oh my god, Mom, we'll sneak through quick. No one will notice. You could do it just this once. Oh, whoa?
You bounced in your seat excitedly that it was
criminal.
actually going to happen. Kyra's right. You never got to do stuff like this. Kyra drove into the theater parking lot and shut the engine off. With the unbuckling of her seatbelt, she ushered you and Cove out.
I stepped on a nail and then I got tetanus.
Oh no. Despite being hesitant to leave, once outside, Cove burst into a sprint towards the cinema.
Yeah, that's gonna make it less obvious.
Right?
Just a shoeless teenager running at full speed, rather than walking and maybe they wouldn't notice.
Yeah. You were right along with them. The tarmac was still wet from before and cold to stand on with bare feet. Inside, you noticed there were no lines. All the current shows had already started. Kyra paid that no mind and strode up towards the counter with some words of encouragement.
A third of the running time is ads these days. We haven't missed anything.
Meanwhile, Cove stood next to you awkwardly. He shifted from one foot to the other and constantly kept looking around. His shady behavior would have made him much more likely to get caught than standing still would have, if there were people around to really notice. It was pretty goofy.
We consoled him, teased him, complained with him, or kept quiet. We console?
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it, Cove. You poke Cove's arm to get his attention.
It'll be okay, Cove.
His expression softened into an appeased smile. Yeah, thanks. Eliciting a sigh of relief out of you, Kyra returned with tickets in hand. She quickly herded you and Cove towards the showing room.
I'm so sorry for the little hiccup, but hold on. We've almost made it home free. Once we sit down, it'll be smooth sailing.
The lights were already off in the showing room, but the movie hadn't started yet. The upcoming movie trailers were still playing.
I'm just imagining, like, sticky
Aha.
floors.
Me too.
Yes.
Keeping her volume in a hushed tone, Kyra couldn't help but burst with excitement over your luck. You followed her down to the walkway until she spotted open seats in the middle-ish area of the theater. Kyra pointed at the seats, looking over her shoulder at you and Cove, waiting for input. Cove nodded, and you decided to give her a thumbs up, and she led the way. When you reached your seats, Kyra sighed contentedly. Cove gave a sigh of his own and lifted his feet to sit cross-legged instead of keeping them down on the floor. He then leaned over and whispered to you. Do you have any idea what the movie is?
No, I didn't hear the name or anything when your mom bought the tickets.
Oh boy. After a couple more previews, the main event began. It dawned on you quickly that it was a horror film, one about a group of students being haunted by dangerous ghosts.
You were psyched. You could live with that. Thought it was going to be annoying. Became nervous. You were terrified. You couldn't do this. You had to leave. Maybe we're a little nervous?
Yeah, just a little nervous.
Might get too loud for you. You struggled with frightening films. I mean, I think that one makes more sense.
Yeah. It was one thing to go see a movie you knew nothing about, but a horror movie? That was an entirely different story, and it was eating at you that you had no idea what kind of scary you should be bracing for. Glancing over at Cove, you noticed he looked less than thrilled at the movie, bit down on his bottom lip and stared at the screen with trembling eyes. Cove had never been a fan of ghosts or intentionally frightening things. That was something you'd learned about him early on.
Remained still, tapped Cove on the shoulder to get his attention, angled your body in your seat to be closer, grabbed hold of his hand. That's where I thought this was going. We hold hands.
Yeah. Your fingers wrapped tight around his, and he jumped slightly at the unexpected touch.
It's a ghost.
But his expression softened when he peeked at you out the corner of his eyes. He watched you with an unspoken question written all over his face. Will you be okay?
I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. It's a little scary, but, you know.
Just a little
He
nervous.
gave your hand a squeeze to silently voice support. That made you feel good. Sometimes the other people in the theater screamed or jeered or clapped depending on what was happening.
The other people in the theater, you mean the empty theater behind us?
Yep.
There's not a single,
Your
they're all
heart-
ghosts.
Oh my god. That's the real scary part of the movie.
Exactly.
Your heart was pounding in your chest when the movie finally came to an end. The main character resolved the hauntings, but in a dark conclusion, they didn't make it out alive.
Uh-oh.
You stayed to let the credits roll and for the theater to clear out. Then it was time to head back to the car. Both you and Cove took the same seats in the back of the car again, even though it was late. Kyra was exuding an optimistic energy.
We survived it.
Your nerves were still calming down from the movie. Cove gave you a worried glance and then a hard look at his mom. A movie wasn't ever going to kill us, it was going to make us unhappy. She deflated a little at the chastising.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, gang, I didn't know it'd be that bad.
It made me really tense. I guess that's the point of horror stuff, but I kind of don't want to have to feel like that.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's not for everyone.
He narrowed his eyes defensively at the attempt to encourage him. Yeah, it just wasn't me either.
Ollie, how are you feeling? Scared me, I hated it. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It was scary, but I had fun. I like that answer.
Yeah. Kyra smiled a little more at that.
I'm glad.
I still can't believe they died. It's nice when things aren't all obvious and you don't really know how it'll end until you see it, but I wanted it to go better.
Man, a happier ending. Loved how it all fell apart when it seemed like things were going to be okay.
Wow.
Saw it coming, nodded along with what Cove was saying, and it was so lame. I think we agree with Cove.
Yeah.
I think that's usually always the right answer.
You were interested in hearing his thoughts. You and Cove spent the rest of the car ride absorbing conversation about the movie.
Oh, who's hungry?
You were surprised when you realized Kyra didn't drive you home, but to a drive-through burger restaurant instead.
Yo, this is the best day ever. I think I would say, like, why not?
Yeah, it's kind of been a while.
That's a spirit. Get whatever you want. Oh my god. Oh my god, no, it's one of these. We're getting some we're getting one of everything. We're getting a cheeseburger, a chicken sandwich, a spicy chicken sandwich, french fries, onion rings, a salad, chicken nuggets, a soda, a hamburger, a mozzarella sticks, a milkshake, soft serve Coke, chocolate chip cookie. That's everything.
Is that all? Oh
She
my
said-
god, what's gonna happen?
Spent $100 at a fast food place.
I'm gonna make it all into a sandwich.
It's A-okay.
Cove was tickled by the size of your list and had no disapproval over it. Kyra pulled up to the window and ordered everything. She then decided to order one of everything on the value menu as well.
Oh my god! There's gonna be no room in this car. It's just burgers and onion rings.
Whoa, what are you gonna do with all that?
Eat it.
Really?
The whole menu? Even after Ollie picked most of that already?
That's right. There are only maybe 10 things on it, and they're about $1 each. I can swing it, and besides, whatever we don't finish, I'm gonna feed to your dad. He'll be in heaven.
Cove sighed affectionately at his mother's antics.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're quite welcome.
A few minutes later, Kyra exchanged her money for multiple bags of food,
Oh my
which she
God.
quickly tossed at you both in the back seats. Then she drove off into the night.
Can you pass me something? Anything. Just anything. What should I grab? Surprise me. We've got the whole menu.
He chose one of the wrapped sandwiches and handed it to her. You had no idea if it was a burger or something else.
Thanks very much.
Accepting this
Oh,
was what
man.
was happening, Cove shrugged and started pulling food out of the bags for himself. Cove ended up with some onion rings and he happily munched on them.
Select something randomly. Let's go random. Let's do it.
Yeah. Kyra's crazy ride just kept going. You had to wonder if this night would ever end.
She turns back to the back seat. You want to rob a bank? Jesus.
The adventure continued as you robbed the bank, and you were so preoccupied in the back that you almost didn't realize the car had stopped. Kyra turned to look you over the shoulder.
Okay, party people. It seems we've reached the end of the road.
Confused, you checked out the window and saw nothing except empty road ahead. Then you noticed it, the now leaving sign. Kyra took you through the entire town. What are we doing here? Kyra turned the car around and parked it on the side of the road.
You gotta walk home. I think you both could use a break to stretch your legs, and I doubt anyone's gonna come through here this time of night. Besides, I need to make a call, so go on.
Cove shook his head and got out of the car without a fight.
We go follow Cove.
You got out and caught up with the cove. He was busy looking at the stars and stretching his arms while he strolled around.
So, in case anything comes up, when they were kids and Cove was trying to run away, they made it this far to the sign
Oh,
as well. So, in case there's any memories coming up, that's what they're talking about.
okay.
Thought being there was exciting. Being there was pretty cool. Didn't care. Felt worried. Were mad. Felt tired. Guess it was pretty cool.
Yeah, why not?
Sure. This was a good place to stop. If she was going to take us all around town, at least it wasn't done halfway.
Cove smiled, glancing from the stars to you. Shortly after, you noticed Cove's expression changed. His eyebrows furrowed, and it seemed like he was thinking hard about what he
I'm
wanted
so
to say
sorry.
next. Ollie, I'm really sorry for my mom being crazy tonight. She isn't always like this, seriously.
Why is she being like this now?
I think she feels like she has to get out of there and do things with me while she can, and she wants to make the time memorable. This visit has been really different than the others, and it didn't start off good. Thinking about how Kyra's trip began this summer, you could understand why Cove was thinking along those lines. She probably wanted all the trouble to be worth it in the end.
Are you having a good time with your mom around? I get it. She shouldn't have made me be a part of it. No, that's that answer.
Yeah.
I feel like the first one is a good question to ask. Are you having
Yeah.
a good time?
Yeah. It's still weird having her and Dad in the same house, but I love her. She's my mom. I like hanging out with her most of the time. It went silent between you both, so you jumped when you heard the sound of a car door closing.
Oh, Volley.
You turned to see Kyra by the driver's side waving. The sight brought a smile to Cove's face, and she quickly made her way over to where you both were standing.
Thanks for waiting.
I didn't mind.
My baby.
How did I end up with such a polite boy?
She ruffled his hair, and Cove lowered his head, accepting the compliment. You thought about how interesting it was to see how Cove interacted with his mom.
I don't think I've ever seen her far away, or I've just never noticed this before, but I thought her hair only went to like her shoulders. It is so long.
Yeah, it's really long.
Like,
Damn.
I guess because I've only seen her
I
in
can
like
see
a
it in the dialogue box.
yeah, like I've only seen her like close up, I think, and I've just never noticed it. But like
Yeah.
I thought it went to like maybe like you know how long you can see it in the front? Like I guess I just never noticed. It just went so much longer.
Yeah. And then the memory hit you. That first summer, you and Cove came back to this very spot in his runaway
There it
attempt to
is.
find his way back to his mom. And now you were all here together.
That's it. You said it out loud. You whispered about it to Cove. You kept that thought to yourself. I feel like the right thing to do is to like whisper about it,
Mm-hmm.
but also like I feel like it wouldn't be a bad thing to like say it out loud. I mean, they did get caught anyway. Like
Yeah.
everybody knew that they made their way out here because then they started walking back, and then our mom found us and picked us up.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would be better to whisper it because we
Maybe.
all know this girl listens anyway, so she might hear it anyway.
Yeah. Taking a step closer to Cove, you leaned in close to share the moment just with him.
Isn't it strange that your mom took us here? This is where you went to try seeing her when you moved to Sunset Bird.
Cove flinched and his eyes darted over to his mom, worried that she heard. When he was satisfied that she didn't, he turned back. Yeah, it's weird, but she doesn't know what happened. At least I'm pretty sure she doesn't.
Really?
Dad likes to tell her things are fine so she doesn't worry.
Why? Okay. Why would I just straight up tell
In
her
that
right
case, yeah.
now? No, keep it a secret.
Cove looked at you gratefully, and you shared a conspiratorial smile. Anyways, it's kind of cool to be here, right on the edge of town.
Exactly. We're standing on a precipice. Precipice? What? I don't know
The
what that means.
precipice.
Precipice?
Yep.
I'm just gonna say I think so too, because then I'm not being a party pooper.
I too enjoyed the precipice.
I don't like that. I knew you'd get it. It's good to appreciate these times and places.
Kyra let out a big breath of air.
Maybe she does know. Like, why else would she come here? We should probably
Yeah.
call it a night, huh? I felt disappointed it was actually over. I feel like that's a good answer, rather than being like
Yeah.
super excited that we're leaving.
You had kind of hoped some other unexpected things would pop up to keep things going.
Party all night.
Kyra shyly smiled and gestured to the car. Quietly, you all made your way back to it. Cove naturally followed you, taking the seat nearby in the back with the collection of fast food bags still strewn about.
Looks like we robbed
You
a
rested
fast
your
food place.
Yeah. You rested your head into the seat as the car roared to life. As you did, Cove leaned in close to whisper,
Hey.
I could talk to your moms if they do get mad about tonight for some reason. It was my mom's idea. You didn't have a choice.
I would say like maybe it was worth it, even if they get mad.
Yeah. Your mouth pulled into the biggest grin, getting a laugh out of Cove. If you say so. Cove smiled bashfully at you, but said nothing else. The drive home was smooth and uneventful. The radio was off completely and you felt your eyelids getting heavy.
Head came to rest on Cove.
Aww.
Aw.
You were too tired to keep your head up and it felt quite comfortable there. Cove didn't have any issues there. He leaned into it. You must have been exhausted too. You were happy to stay close like that. It was warm and comfortable. When you opened your eyes, you expected to still be in the car, not your bedroom. It was somehow already morning. You couldn't remember how you ended up there. Sitting up in bed, you thought about how last night was quite an experience. It almost felt like a dream more than a real event, but it definitely happened. And you were glad that you got to have a spontaneous escapade this summer.
That was fun.
That was the escapade.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was exciting. Soiree, I think that's gonna be like a party or something.
Yeah, like a dance.
You willed away the morning doing whatever struck your fancy, and now you were recharging with lunch. With nothing on the horizon, you were free to spend as much or as little time on your plate as you wanted. It was while you were thinking on all the possibilities for your afternoon that your moms approached you.
Hi.
Hi, Ollie. You okay? Mouth full, you nodded in reply. To your surprise, they both sat with you at the table. Based on the time, you had wondered if they were joining you for a meal, but neither of them brought anything. Great, we wanted to have a little chat with you. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Your qualifier little did nothing to downplay the situation. Your chewing slowed as your eyes widened, looking from one parent to the other. Anything that required both of them to talk to you must be something big. It was unsettling. Perked up, your mind full of exciting possibilities. I think I would just be unsettled.
Yeah, pretty monk a W.
Didn't like being the only one not knowing what was going on. Stomach churning, you waited for them to fill you in. Oh, don't look so worried. It's nothing scary, promise. There's a soiree at the Cypress tomorrow night. Your mom and I are going. The Cypress was the country club your moms were part of and where Elizabeth played golf. It seemed like every other month they had some event or another, all with fancy names like Soiree. Chewing
How
your lip,
old
you
are they?
wondered. I don't, maybe like 30s? Maybe 30s
Okay.
ish. Why?
It just seems like the most old person thing to do of all time.
I don't know. I think like when you live in an area like this, like by the beach, I think younger generations like, I'm not saying young as in like teenagers, but like her Elizabeth, our sister, like golfs.
Yeah.
She like is a part of the golf, I don't know if it's a club, but like golfing at the country club. So I feel like they're a part of it, even though they're not like boomers.
Okay.
Chewing your lip, you wondered what this had to do with you. Mom chuckled at your poorly concealed reaction. Leaning in, Ma took your hand and squeezed it. We decided to make the night a bit special. Elizabeth's going to be allowed to stay home fully alone for the first time. You'll still be coming to the party with us. It's Elizabeth's night to party with no family around, not yours. Sorry, you've got to wait a couple more years. So, I guess that's like a kind of exciting thing to do, like to get to stay home alone, but is she having friends over or is she literally just sitting at home by herself? Like, you would think Elizabeth would want to go to the party.
Yeah.
What's it gonna be like? I guess that's a good question to ask.
Yeah.
Well, the usual. Mostly, we wanted to make it a special night for you, too, so we've got something a little extra planned. That was unexpected. Interested, you listened. Your parents shared a look across the table. You cleared your throat, reminding them that you were waiting. They couldn't keep dropping such hints and then turned coy when the conversation was about to get good. since it's a fancy party that's still chaperoned, and attendees are allowed to bring a guest, we thought it might be a nice opportunity for you to invite someone yourself as a date, if you want. Your eyes widened as the words sunk in. Your mom's continued, and it was a struggle to keep up. Even though we'll be at the party too, you don't need to worry about us getting in your way. You'll be free to eat, dance, and enjoy the music as you see fit. But no leaving the property. Ma nodded at Mom's interjection.
Isn't that great?
Yes, as long as you don't leave the party. And if you'd rather just bring a friend, that's a-okay too. That's amazing. I feel like I don't even know how to react would probably be the best option.
It's the most realistic.
Yeah. Your parents were smiling at you, clearly expecting a response, but you were still too shocked to formulate anything of the kind. You hadn't imagined this was where the talk was going.
About it.
The soiree isn't until tomorrow, so you've got time. Just let us know your plans before we're heading out. And that's all. We'll leave you to your lunch now. Your moms rose from their chairs in unison, disappearing to another part of the house. You barely noticed their departure. All you could think of was what just happened. The remnants of your lunch stared up from your plate. Felt that you should finish eating. Lost your appetite. You were glad to be eating again.
Yeah, I'm just happy to start eating again.
You wolfed down the rest of your food, clearing your plate as you thought
Damn.
about how you'd like to spend tomorrow evening. Even though you relocated to your bedroom, your head was stuck on the conversation that unfolded at the dining table downstairs. You knew that you didn't want to bring anyone too soon to pick one way or another. Wanted it to be a date. Having a friend would be best.
I mean, we're taking Cove with, so...
Uh-huh. Do we call it a date?
Maybe.
Oh well. The prospect of having your first date made it impossible to sit still. You couldn't help but jiggle your foot as you laid on your bed, contemplating the possibility. That night being a date would mean actually asking someone out. The little you knew of that came from what you'd seen on TV and movies and what you'd heard about from kids at school. Your mums hadn't even entertained the idea of you dating until now. You went over possible words and phrases in your head, setting up scenarios and smooth segues before tearing them down and trying something else. Sighing, you shifted position on the bed, resting your arm on the windowsill. A flock of birds caught your eye and led your gaze as they crossed the sky. You watched the birds grow smaller and less distinct until they disappeared from sight. Like the snap of a hypnotist's fingers, you were released from the trance and left with a goal of your own. You were going to take a walk. You ambled through the familiar streets of your neighborhood, picking your path at whim. It was as quiet as ever, with tourists choosing to congregate in the shopping area near the beach rather than venture into the sleepy residential zones. You continued down the road and soon found yourself at the shore. The fresh, salty air hit you at first, rolling to meet you over the grassy dunes that tickled your legs, followed by the familiar view of the sea stretching out across the horizon. You came to a halt. A lone figure was standing in the ocean, the water reaching up to his knees. Though he had his back to you, you recognized the familiar silhouette as Cove's. It made sense that you'd find him here. He always was in his element by the sea. You had no idea if he heard your arrival or if it was a coincidence, but he looked over his shoulder. Your eyes met. Smile, wave, called out, headed closer. We can go to the water.
Yeah.
Though Cove was sure to return to the shore after seeing you, it wasn't fair to make him do all the work. Cove grinned at you from over his shoulder before turning around and waded back to the shore.
Ollie, what are you up to?
My moms are taking me to a soiree tomorrow at their country club.
A soiree? Sounds exciting?
Cove tried to show a level of enthusiasm, keeping his grin pinned in place, but you could tell that he held no envy towards your plans. I think we should just ask. Like, I think it's too demanding to be like, you're coming too.
Yeah.
But don't want to say, like, I'm attending by myself, you know?
Yeah. Oh, you can bring someone?
My mom said it was okay for someone to come along. You watched him process the offer, his eyes becoming far away for just a moment before he broke into a smile.
Sure, I'll come.
Maybe not saying right away that it's a date, but then maybe it gets brought up later.
Maybe.
You know? So I kind of want to do like a sigh of relief, maybe.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Now that you had secured company for tomorrow evening, it felt like a weight was lifted off. You couldn't think of a better companion to be by your side. You clapped your hands together, ready to share the resolution with your parents. can you come by my house right now? We can let my moms know the plan.
No problem.
Cove went to where he discarded his things in the sand, tugging his shirt over his head and slipping on a pair of shoes before joining you, setting off home. The two of you stepped inside the front door of your house. Given the proximity you had grown up, it was an action you'd taken together countless times, and you thought yourself lucky to have such a great friend living close by. At the sound of the door opening, your mom poked her head into the hall.
Hello.
Hello. Ah, Cove, it's you. What a surprise. She chuckled at her own joke. Cove was always there, and she knew how close the two of you were. Bringing anyone other than him back would have been the actual surprise.
Hi, Mrs. Best.
So I take it Cove's going to be our guest for tomorrow night?
So,
Yep. And is it a date? Her voice was light, teasing, and it was painful. No, we're just gonna hang out at the party together. Oh no! I didn't. Uh-oh! I didn't know! I thought it would be bad!
I mean, we left it, like, ambiguous up to this point. Why did Ollie all of a sudden say, nope, definitely not?
Heck!
What do we do?
Maybe it'll change. Maybe it'll change.
Yeah.
I just didn't want it to be, like, super forward.
Yeah.
She went off to fetch the phone. You shook your head, betrayed. How could she say something like that with no warning? Cove gave you a crooked smile, a weak imitation of his usual one. You weren't the only one caught off guard by her comment. And the rest of the afternoon passed by just like that. We did pick when we were in the bedroom that we wanted it to be a date. So,
Yeah.
like, I think there's a chance. Back in your room, your mind was abuzz with visions of tomorrow night. The soiree was an exciting prospect now that you got to experience it with the Cove. You just hoped that he'd have a good time when all was said and done. The evening of the soiree had arrived, the daylight hours having slipped away in a blur. Up in your bedroom, you were getting ready for the big event. That was your intention, at least, but you hadn't settled on an outfit. Stationed in front of your wardrobe, you scanned over the clothing you had at your disposal. Though Ma had mentioned this event was a bit dressier than a normal get-together, you didn't necessarily have to comply. I still think we should dress up.
Maybe a little bit.
You attempted to decide between the nicer pieces in your wardrobe, the ones that rarely had a chance to come out. You decided to dress formally because... you were dressing to impress?
Yeah.
Fashion was a competitive sport. Just like the golf tournaments the club hosted, you might not walk out with a trophy at the end, but you still had every intention of winning, so you decided to wear button-down shirt. Crisp shirts were a classic formal look for a reason. They were essentially foolproof. You paired your top with dress pants. You picked a pair that complemented the color of the top and nodded with satisfaction. It was a slick look. You began to get dressed, your fingers working stiff zips and awkward fastenings. Felt different against your skin, reminding you with every movement that you were dressed up. Whatever happened tonight, you were pleased that you'd gotten the opportunity to wear this. Now dressed, you gave yourself a final glance over before heading downstairs ready to head out. You found your moms already waiting in the living room. They were putting the finishing touches on their outfits, Ma strapping her heel into a stiletto shoe and Mom trying to fasten a bracelet single-handed. They looked up as you entered. Oh, Ollie, you look so nice, don't you think,
Thanks.
Pam? Thanks for dressing up, Ollie. I hope the party will be prepared for your arrival. You look sharp. Mom was still struggling with the bracelet. You lent a hand literally by taking one side and holding it as she secured the clasp. Thanks, kiddo. Mom then glanced over at the clock on the wall. Seeing where the hands were pointing, a frown creased her face. When's Cove going to be there? Do you know? I feel like there's a handful of some that are okay. Like, I think soon is fine, or that we can just say we go get him, and then that'll give us an excuse to, like, go over there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah? She raised her eyebrows, a broad grin replacing the earlier frown. That's very polite of you. Get going. We want to leave in 10 minutes. Okay. Cove's house was mere seconds away from yours, making the warning unnecessary, but you dutifully went out. After crossing the street, you found yourself at Cove's very familiar front door. You rang the bell, whose chime was lodged in your head from all the times you'd rung it over the years. Though unlike usual, Cove's mom Kyra was the only one who answered that night.
Come on.
Hey, Ollie, come on in. She beckoned you inside as if she was so excited to see that words alone weren't enough. Thanks for coming. The boys will be right down. They're just in Cove's room. I can call them if you want. I feel like I could just say, like, I can wait.
Yeah, I think so
Great.
too.
She took a seat on the sofa and patted a chair. Feel free to put your feet up. While you waited, Kyra easily filled the time by chatting with you about your plans for the night ahead. A short while later, Mr. Holden strolled into the room, giving you a wave. Cove's lips squeezed into a smile as you reciprocated. The tension in his face seemed to ease.
Hi.
Hi. Cove seemed to take your appearance in with a glance. He smiled. He opened his mouth to speak more, then paused. Cove checked the time using a clock hanging on a side wall and addressed his parents.
We've got to go.
He abruptly headed towards the door, his parents waving you off.
Bring him back in one piece.
No, I'm gonna murder him. Have a blast, you two. Bye. You ducked out, following Cove into the street. Once out in the fresh evening air, Cove breathed deeply before smiling at you.
Kind of curious what's going to be at the party.
You were glad that he was in a good mood. A little intrigue about the night ahead was a good sign. Don't expect a red carpet. It's not that big of a deal. You returned home, Cove in tow. Your mom's welcomed you back before whisking you right out once more to get in the car. You pulled up at the country club. The sun had sunk deep into the horizon, the last of its light sleepily warming the oncoming night. Your mom's led the way to the space around the back where the event was being held. The place had been transformed through decoration, with smart tablecloths and elegant ribbons contributing to a festive atmosphere. Musicians dressed in matching black and white were setting up their instruments and flicking through pages of sheet music, and as promised, there was a table covered in plates of carefully prepared food. Destination reached, your parents rounded on you and Cove. Things haven't kicked off yet, but don't let that stop you from enjoying
Have
yourselves. Have fun, we'll be around if
See
you
you
need
later.
us. Bye. Cove waved your moms off. Once they'd retreated a distance away from you, you found him watching you expectantly.
What now?
His voice was light, but from his wide eyes and their nervous glances, you could tell that he was feeling out of his depth. We'll have to wait for some things to start, like the band, but there's stuff going on already. Cove perked up at
Really?
that.
Oh? Do you want to do any of those? Whatever they are?
Introduce Cove to people in the country club, seat relax, check the snacks at the refreshment table. Maybe we look at the snacks?
Yeah,
We can
Can't
go
go
eat some
wrong.
food now, even if the music
Oh.
hasn't started yet.
that's okay. It's not too soon.
I only like these parties because of the free food. I knew you'd come for the free food. Wonder what they'll have this time. No one will mind, really. I think that's a good answer, that no one will mind.
Yeah. Okay.
The two of you wandered over to the refreshment table. With it being early in the night, it had barely been touched, and the plates were nearly as pristine as when they'd left the kitchens. The offerings were all tiny and bite-sized, ready to be picked up and sampled. It was immediately apparent that there was plenty to choose from. Just from the level of care with which it was presented, it was clear that this was fancy stuff. Cove stared at one plate, then another, confused.
Maybe?
Think I know some of this.
I don't. Gross. And only some of it is good. This is good stuff. I think I don't would be fun, I guess, to say. Like, they're at this, like, fancy place and they don't even know what the food is.
Yeah.
I know that usually there's food, but not what it is. Cove smiled at your reaction, seemingly reassured that you were on the same level as him when it came to understanding high cuisine. Cove squared his shoulders as if gearing up for a match.
I'm gonna try it.
He picked up a plate and took one appetizer, then another, and another. Soon he realized he was taking one of every single type. You're taking everything?
Uh-huh. Why not?
Joined him in sampling everything.
That's
think
how we get
that's-
fast food after all.
Yeah, maybe there'd be some hidden gems this time. It was worth a try. Cove nibbled his way through everything the Cypress had. The results of his endeavor were mixed. He was revolted by some of the things he tried, openly screwing up his face and rushing to find a drink to wash the taste away. Yet these bad experiences didn't stop him from plowing on, moving on to the next snack with an open mind. There were some foods that he was neutral about, dismissing them with a shrug. But best of all were the reactions when they stumbled across something good. Each time caught him by surprise, his expression morphing from wary curiosity to skeptical interest before making way for astonished enjoyment. Regardless of how he felt about what he was currently eating, you could tell he was having a good time just being free to eat whatever he laid his eyes on. He thought that was nice too. After going through a round of sampling, munching on the rest of him, waiting for music, or move on to something else.
I kind of like the first one, but I also don't know if the second one, like,
Would lead to
also
something.
involves Cove, because it just kind of sounds like, all right, Cove's eating, I'm going to do something else. At least
I
that's how
think,
I interpret it, but I could
yeah,
be
I
wrong.
think I'll just do the top one. In no time at all, the sun set in full, the lights faded in, and the opening notes of the band's first song rang out. You and Cove stopped what you were doing, turning to contemplate what the party had been steadily unfurling while you were distracted. It was much busier now, both in terms of people and activity. The first steps were taken onto the dance floor, some tentative, others eager, and even if the band hadn't been playing, the constant level of chatter would have ensured that it wasn't a quiet night. With the party now in full swing, your options had increased. We asked Cove to dance.
Yeah, we dance.
So would you like to dance, maybe? And I have the pleasure of your company.
I don't know if that's sarcastic or not.
I know. All right, so like the top or the bottom ones I like because they're kind of nervous. So
Yeah.
would you like to dance maybe, or I'd like to dance with you if that's okay. I think I like the top and the bottom, but I think the bottom more.
Yeah, I like that one a little more too.
Cove raised his eyebrows in surprise at your hesitant invitation. Even though it was a dance party, he hadn't anticipated this outcome. He could only shake his head. He looked out onto the dance floor, discomfort radiating off him. Your heart sank. You counted Cove as a good friend. You thought he would feel okay if it was with you.
Aw.
I don't know.
I don't know how to dance. It's crowded out there.
Following his gaze, you saw that the dance floor was now tightly packed with swaying, affectionate couples. He rubbed his arms, shoulders hunched inwardly.
Sorry.
You wouldn't be able to change his mind. There was nothing you could do but accept it. Tried to lighten the mood?
Yeah.
The situation was what it was, and making Cove feel worse about it would only bring you both down. There goes my secret plan to stomp on your toes. Cove smiled weakly.
Guess so.
You just had to do something else. I guess we can ask him what he wants to do.
Yeah.
You focused over Cove, wondering how he was finding the evening. He sighed. It was so quiet and unobtrusive that you wouldn't have caught it if you hadn't been watching him. His gaze was roaming. With how far away his eyes seemed, whatever he was searching for couldn't be found at this party. He turned to face you before you could say anything.
I want to sit down.
We can do that. Cove began to move and you instinctively followed him, yet instead of taking a seat at one of the many free tables that you expected, Cove ignored them and he purposely strode out of the party area. Where are you going? Your call didn't seem to register with him as he continued forward out into the greens of the golf course. You went after him, trying to watch out for the uneven ground underfoot. The clods of earth dislodging in games of golf were perfect for snatching unwary feet, even in daylight. Up ahead, Cove didn't appear to have any difficulty traversing the uneven land. He settled down on one of the little hills of the golf course. You joined him, still unsure over what was going on. Are you alright? What's wrong? I guess I would ask just what's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Cove started as if he'd acted on instinct and your question had brought him around to reality again.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. And it's okay. You can go back to the party.
You didn't budge from your spot. From here, the party was just a glowing haze in the distance. You didn't want to leave him behind.
Yeah.
I'm not going to leave you here, and I'm not going to drag you back if you don't want to.
Oh, thanks.
Now that Cove was more at ease, you tried to find out what had caused him to take flight in the first place. Did the party make you uncomfortable? It upset you that Cove had been unhappy attending an event with you, but logically you knew that the issue was likely the event rather than your company.
No,
He shook his head empathetically.
it's not anything I did tonight. It's definitely not anything you did either.
He nodded, relieved to have your suspicions confirmed. Cove attempted to fill the gaps of understanding.
I don't want to think about going back into the party. I just feel ready to go home.
To your home planet?
What's that supposed to mean?
Kind of like this blue one.
Yeah,
Cove stared off and his words felt just as distant.
it's okay.
Cove sat there quietly, gazing out into the shadowy hills and valleys of the golf course. A comfortably warm wind rustled between you, tussling his hair. It was so far away from the hubbub of the party, you could even make out the quiet sound of crickets chirping.
This is kind of like how we first met. Do you remember?
How could I forget her? Of course I do. I like those two in the middle.
Yeah,
Which one do you like better? Because they're kind of the
I
same
like, of
thing.
course I do.
You liked him from the very first day.
It's so weird. That was a long time ago now.
He thought back to the day when Cove first arrived in the neighborhood. He had run away from Mr. Holden, taking solace in the hills behind your house. That had been late, too, on a clear night like today. Looking at the sky, you wondered if the stars that were looking down were the same ones as then. Cove's face was brighter, though you could still see signs of the strain that had caused him to depart from the soiree. When he'd first sat down, he had curled up like a pill bug, hunched over, knees pressed into his chest and arm wrapped around them. He unwound as you'd been talking, straightening up, his hands free to gesticulate. It was as though the two of you had constructed your own little world away from everything else, and he was beginning to perk up. The small smile that had crept onto his face was quickly ushered away by a frown.
This is a lot like a date.
Oh, whoa. Cove followed up on the statement before you could react. He spoke in a distinctly whispered tone, as though you were the only one in the world who he could share these words with.
After I said I wanted to come, I wanted to take it back. Not because I really didn't want to do it, but because, I don't know, it seemed like a big deal. It made me feel bad somehow. I started feeling like I couldn't do it, even though I just wanted to do it. I guess it was sort of like having to give a presentation in front of class, even though it was just me and you doing something like we always do.
He charged on, his words streaming out.
I still could do it because thinking about not being there and you and what you might think if I did take it back made me feel way worse than whatever else I felt.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Ollie. I'm sorry I can't just deal with stuff like this and have to make things so complicated.
You don't need to apologize, sadly hung your head. Sorry I made you feel bad. I don't want you to be here if you don't want to be here, smiled, or you didn't have to come, you could have told me. I feel like either telling him he doesn't need to apologize or smiling at him might make it less of a sad feeling.
Yeah,
Which one do you like?
I don't know. I think they're both pretty good. Maybe we just smile then.
Take his hand, place hand on shoulder, leaned against him, ruffled his hair. Maybe we take hand?
Yeah.
His skin was cool to the touch, his fingers coiled delicately around yours. He finally moved his head to look you straight on, eyes
Ollie.
meeting yours.
Thanks for inviting me, Ollie.
You stared back at him, not comprehending. But didn't it make you feel bad?
Yeah, it did when I had to think about how I was actually doing it. But getting to hear that you wanted me to come made me feel good.
It's nice.
I'm happy when you think about me and you want me to be there. When I just do it and you're with me, it all feels better in the end.
You felt a tug on your hand and found Cove in the process of standing up. You joined him on your feet. What was that? You tilted your head in an unspoken question. I kind of like the bottom one, because I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
Cove smiled awkwardly, brushing some grass off the side of his pants.
Wanna dance with me?
Ooh. Your eyes widened involuntarily. You were not expecting that after what happened earlier. Or you didn't want to.
I know, but it's a dance party, right? And I think
He trailed off, brow furrowed, as if he was trying to figure out the answer himself. Nodding slowly, he continued.
I want to dance with you before it's over.
With the only words he had to explain gone, he just held up his hand to you. His expression was soft. I want to dance with you too. No thanks.
You reject him after that.
Rejected. Then he reached for his hand and took it in yours once more. Cove grinned and his chest rose with a deep breath he took. You returned hand in hand. Oh, I thought they were gonna dance in the field.
Yeah, I kind of thought so too.
With the party reaching the end of a long evening, dancing couples had become more scarce. One pair among many were hard to notice, but now the space around you would act as a spotlight. Not that there were many left to watch you. He was still at ease, even buoyed by the dissipated crowd. There was a spring in his step as he walked onto the dance floor together. Cove kept hold of the hand you had given him back on that little hill. He rested the other on your shoulder. Cove hesitated while you waited for a sign, with the song in progress before you'd stepped out to dance. There was no signal for the right moment to begin. The same thought occurred to Cove, who shrugged his shoulders with keeping form. Taking that as your starting point, you cautiously began to sway. Cove readily followed your example. You danced wordlessly, dimly aware of the music guiding you. You were more focused on Cove, whose attention was firmly fastened on you. He didn't look down or away once, not even when your knees knocked against each other and you both briefly fumbled your steps. Instead, he smirked. He wanted to take this dance in stride in more ways than one. You were utterly at peace, safe and relaxed in his presence. The little slip-up, the whole evening really, only served to underline how nothing could dent the foundation of your friendship. All too soon, the song reached its conclusion. You could have continued quite contentedly for some time more. You and Cove let go of each other, though your feet remained rooted to where they had been when the song finished. You heard your name called out, and that brought the dance truly to an end. You both spun to find Mom yelling for you and Cove. Beside her, Mom was shaking her head. It's time to go home. Lonnie, I had to get hold of them somehow. What did you want me to do, sneak up on them? Your chosen method was adamantly better than that. You still cringed at how unaware you'd been when she announced her arrival. Cove looked so embarrassed to be caught that you were worried about him making another dash away from the party. Despite Cove's reaction to the scene with your moms, to you it had been a perfect ending to the evening. You were so glad you got the chance to dance with Cove once more before the night was over. And it definitely was over now. You didn't need to say anything to Cove. The two of you marched wordlessly over to your parents, who were still bickering playfully. Standing shoulder to shoulder, your parents surveyed you and Cove. You wondered if they were checking that they were returning Mr. Holden's son in the same state that he'd left the house. That was quite a night, huh, gang? Wasn't it just? Cove managed a self-conscious smile.
Yeah.
Mom was smiling too, with an expression so soft it could have cradled a newborn chick. Good. Well, we better get ready ourselves to get back to Elizabeth. If we're lucky, the house might still be standing. Oh, shush. She swatted your mom playfully, laughing at the comment. You cast one last look at the party. You saw people exchanging farewells and suppressing yawns. Most of the faces were happy ones, despite wariness that was starting to creep in. Cove's head was angled away from you. As you watched, wondering what he was looking at, he came around and met your gaze. It was strange. Though it had only been a few hours of your life, you felt a little older as a result of attending the party. It was like a step away from the world of your childhood, where dressing up as reserved almost exclusively as a form of play towards something new that you hadn't yet grasped. Turning away from the final moments of the party, you shelved that thought for another time as your moms eagerly led the way back to the car. As you and Cove tailed after them, you felt childlike once more. Heck.
Well, that was nice.
It was nice. I don't know if it turned out the way I anticipated it to turn out, but maybe that's like the point. Maybe it because even he said it felt like a date. So like what?
Yeah. So
I don't know.
It kind of worked.
Like an unspoken date, but would it be better if we said it was a date, straight up outright? I don't know.
Hard to say.
Yeah. But I think that's where this episode's going to be, and in the next episode it'll probably be a lot shorter, but we'll do the summer ending episode in the next video. So thanks for reading, Rob.
Almost over.
It is almost over.
Thanks for having me.
Yay. We'll see you in the next video for ending the summer.
That's right. Goodbye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.